Hello, my name is Taylor Whitley, and I serve on the IBC's youth team who are working right now to prepare for Euroventure 2023. And I am so excited that you have clicked on this sponsor training video where you can learn the things that you need to know to be a great sponsor at camp this year. We as a team are particularly excited because this is going to be our first camp back together since COVID. We're all going to be joining together in Length, Switzerland to celebrate Euroventure 2023 live. And we are so glad that you're going to be there with us. So before we begin with the training, let me give you some important information that could be helpful for you as a sponsor about camp this year. First, don't hesitate to check online if you have a question or need some general information about camp. We are always updating our Euroventure page on the IBC website, and that website is ibc-churches.org. When you make your way to that website, simply click on the events page and find your way to Euroventure. There you can find important general information that you might need to know about camp, and probably can get a couple of questions answered if you have any. Now, if the website doesn't provide you the information that you need, feel free to reach out to us via email at youth@ibc-churches.org, and we will do our best to answer any questions or give you any information that you need to have a great time at camp this year. Our theme for camp is life, from John chapter 10, verse 10, where Jesus says, "The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you may have a rich and satisfying life." And our camp speakers, you heard that right, not speaker, but speakers, Jody and Hannah Esquerra, are going to be leading us through this theme of life at Euroventure this year. And we're excited to be hearing from them as they explore God's word with us together each day. We're also going to have a great band of college students from HLGU in the United States who are going to be leading us in worship through music. It's really going to be an exciting time for both sponsors and youth at camp this year. Oftentimes when we're talking to sponsors, particularly first-time sponsors, they're curious about what a day at camp looks like. And so before I actually get into the training material, I just want to walk you through a very simple schedule of camp. Camp in Link is going to occur at 2 different places each day. The first is Cuspo. This is the area where we eat, it's the area where we sleep, and it's the area where we have our general hangout time at camp. Each morning we'll begin there with breakfast, and each evening we'll end there as we go to bed, as we finish our day. The second area of camp this year is the Aula. This is the local school in Link, Switzerland that has a large hall where we'll have our large group meetings, as well as some classrooms that we'll be using for workshops at camp. A slow walk between the Cuspo and the Aula is about 15 minutes. And so as we walk back and forth each day, keep in mind that we'll be needing to walk about 1 kilometer one way to get between the Cuspo and the Aula. So each morning begins, as you might expect, with breakfast. Every meal is provided by the Cuspo and included in the camp fee. And so we'll be able to walk over from our rooms to enjoy breakfast together. After breakfast, we'll have a little bit of time to gather anything that we need or clean up if we need to, and head over to the Aula for our morning time. We'll begin each time there with a morning celebration, where we'll have a couple of worship songs, we'll have a shorter input for the day, and a spiritual encouragement for the youth as we get going with that day. After the morning celebration, we're going to have team time. Each year at camp, we divide students into teams, not based on the church that they're at, but instead mixing youth together so that they can get to know one another. During team time, they'll develop specific team activities like a team chant or maybe a dance, something fun, as well as discussing in small groups more of the things that we're learning from our sessions each day at camp. We'll break up and we'll go into workshops together. Workshops are a great opportunity for youth to choose a different area of interest for them to explore at camp each day. Workshops might be creative with music or the arts. Workshops might be interactive, maybe even physically engaging. Other workshops could include things about how to talk to your friends about Jesus or develop a quiet time. After we finish our workshops and team times, we'll all make our way back to the Cuspo where we'll have lunch together. After lunch is choice recreation. This is a large block of time in the afternoon where youth are able to choose how they want to spend their time. Some of them will have signed up for a specific activity that they've already paid for in advance and that they'll go on at those select days. Other youth might want to go on a hike or go to the local swimming pool. They might just want to stick around at Cuspo and enjoy some time with friends. After our choice recreation time, we'll have dinner before making our way back over to the aula where we'll have our evening celebration along with Euromania. This is a wonderful time of engagement and fun with youth where we get to show off some things that we've learned at team time and have some fun together. After that, we'll have some extended worship through music and our larger evening time of exploring the theme of life from John chapter 10. After this, we'll break up into church groups where you as a sponsor have the opportunity to connect further with your youth and see what God is teaching them at camp each year. Then we'll finish up with getting ready for bed, and by 11 o'clock, it's lights out so that we can be ready for our next day of camp. Now I'd like to walk through some expectations that we as a team have for each of our sponsors at camp this year. First, it's very important that you've read the youth protection policy that was included when you signed up to be a sponsor at camp this year. If you haven't already, and maybe even if you have, pause the video right now and go online and find that youth protection policy. Read through it one more time so that you can get the important information about how you can protect our youth at camp this year. There's a very important part of the youth protection policy that needs to be noted, and that's the 2-to-1 rule. That means that youth and sponsors should never be found alone with each other at camp. No matter what's going on or what you're doing, make sure that there are always 3 people present. This protects both you as a sponsor as well as our youth at camp by making sure that we're always above reproach, always having multiple witnesses to seeing what's going on around camp. So if a student asks you to walk with them back to their room or to help them with something that's happening at camp, make sure you take another sponsor or another youth with you so that we can abide by that 2-to-1 rule the entire time of camp. Another expectation that we have of you is to have a godly attitude. Remember, Euroventure isn't about sponsors. It's not about us. It's about the youth. And so we want to make sure that our attitude reflects that. And the first way that our attitudes can reflect that is by setting the example. Let's make sure and take some time before camp to pray about our attitudes, about our energy, about our abilities, that we would set the example for youth about how they can walk with Jesus and show them that walking with Jesus is a life that is rich and satisfying. Along with that, it's important to remember that the youth reflect our attitudes. So if we're having a good time, if we're engaged in the teachings, if we're joining in the games, the youth are going to join in too. Conversely, if we're not engaging, if we don't have a godly attitude, if we're not joining in with the activities at camp, the youth aren't going to want to join in either. So let's make sure and set that godly attitude together as we enjoy Euroventure this year. Another important thing for us to remember as sponsors is to have servant hearts. We are there to serve the youth. We are there to encourage youth to either begin a relationship with Jesus or to dive deeper in their relationship with him. And so in every aspect of camp, let's make a real effort to put the needs of the students before our own. That means if you see something that's happening, a need that needs to be met or a problem that needs to be solved, go ahead and do it. Don't wait for someone else to. If you see something that needs to be cleaned up, ask a couple of youth or another sponsor to go over and help you clean it together. If you see a youth who's maybe alone or isn't connecting well with others, Take some time to talk to that youth, make a new friend, and invite some other youth to come and spend time with them. If we have servant hearts at camp, we're providing opportunities for students to grow in their relationships with Jesus. So this year, let's remember to be servant-hearted in everything that we do at camp. So thank you for joining me for this 2023 Euroventure sponsor training video. We are so excited to see how God is going to bless our youth at camp this year. And we're thrilled that you are coming with your youth to enjoy this wonderful camp together. We're looking forward to it, and we can't wait to meet you, your youth, and see how we can explore abundant life with Jesus together. See you in Link.